Hi, hello, and welcome to the Soul Purpose Saturday. Hi, hello, and welcome to Soul Purpose Saturday. My name is Serene Pieces of Blosi. I'll be your oracle today. This is brought to you by Vertex of Abundance. We're going to give it a few minutes. Let me handle whatever technical whatever. I am confused. I have to take my jacket off because it's hot. Okay. So why don't we just go ahead and get in where we fit in. Okay. Give it a moment, give it a moment. Hi, how are you? I hope comments are on. I don't know if they are. Can somebody let me know how the sound is? A bit confused as usual. Comments are turned off. Technical difficulties. Okay. Oh no, there is a live chat. Okay, so we got some people in the room. I'm confused. Sound is good. Great, thank you. I wanted to talk about the collective and how the collective mirrors back a sense of the self. And the statement that brought me, the impetus that brought me to the table was common sense is not that common is what's coming through now. That wasn't the statement I was gonna make. Common sense is not that common. Fact is by consensus, but you're always entitled to your own opinion. What does that mean? What does that look like? How do we serve ourselves with that statement? Because you cannot serve others without serving the self. So we often, I don't like untidiness. I can't focus on that right now. There's a lot coming through, and this happens during Aquarius for everybody. It's hitting me extra hard because that's kind of how my energy works. I'm Cancer, Aquarius, Sag, entire chart. One Capricorn placement. So, you know, my moon is in Aquarius, and I have Mars, Mercury, Venus, the sun, and some other things in non-planets in Cancer. And then my moon, which rules Cancer, is in Aquarius. Ain't that funny? Which also squares my north node, squares my south node. Okay. And it's intense. So there's this situation right now where the sun is in Leo. And it's not a situation because it happens every year. So let's just call it, we're going through this cycle right now of the sun being in Leo. And I'm gonna actually go ahead and preside because I don't know what to say. I do know what to say, but there's so much pouring through that I'm gonna, if I let the channel really go, I'm gonna seem like a lunatic, which is fine because I'm ruled by the moon. It's just that let's let spirit speak. I'll be deliberating the findings today by the Aleister Crowley, Lady Frida Harris, Thoth Tarot. So I had those ideas and I'll be imposing my guidance from the Carolyn Miss archetype cards, and commentary will be provided by the emanary, so angelarium. I always mess up this word because this deck has a different energy to me. I think it's giving me ideas of my own deck, which I'm designing, by the way. And if y'all love me and want to help me, that's great. It's not me here in the temple. There's more of us. It's just that there's priestesses with day jobs that don't want to come on the air right away. The requirement is that you have a Vodoun name, a naming ceremony, because if I love you, I'm gonna wanna worship you. And if I don't know who you is inside, you will find me to be most particularly prickly, and inaccessible, inapproachable, unapproachable, inaccessible, all of the above, okay? And it's part of my nature, but I don't need to enforce that. I'm just saying, let's get in where we fit in. We need help. We need designers. We need people who do things like websites and answer emails and return phone calls and all those simple human things that Mama cannot do. So I'm just gonna put that out there. Also, while you folks are getting in the room, hi, hello, and welcome. Okay, this I wanna bring it back every week. Reason being is a lot of us are new worlders, we're in the diaspora, but we know that we have a sacred calling. And it's my opinion that the creator, it is not the creator's job to call the chosen, okay? It's the creator's job to choose those who are called. Do you understand? Now, there's some actualities to that, but let's not devolve. I do have the base energies out so I can deliberate some of my findings. What we're gonna get is a testimony from spirit. I'll preside over that in a moment. I wanna just remind us of some housekeeping. We wire our pre-wire, meaning clue a sister, clue a brother in on what's going on, because Mama could be crazy. And if y'all are uncomfortable calling me Mama because I don't have a uterus, you can call me Baba. The reason I call myself Mama is because I'm a Blosi, which is the queen of the dawn in African culture. In the Indian culture, it would be Aditi, which is the mother of all of the devas, all of the divine spirits that rule from sunrise to sunset, and is her sister that rules from sunset to sunrise. So Auntie would be the queen of hell, and Mami would be the queen of the dawn. So we'll leave it like that. And if you don't like to refer to me as a female or motherly figure, that's fine. I'm just nicer in my mama energy because my papa energy is Baba Sakata. Both of these cards, I'll just show them to you and move on. So remember that the death card is actually in the world card. Literally, our Ifa house is for Twala, and literally it's the karmic mechanism of the goddess, okay? So we'll leave that right there, all right? So yeah, call me Mama, because Baba means I've come to collect you, and I'm a little bit more cruel that way. And it was asked a few times, I don't really remember where. I'm just gonna put that out there because I've been called to speak on that. But let me not edify myself anymore. You know, so I was getting these things, okay, Leo versus Aquarius, what's up with that? Okay, and then also like the nodes are in the tropical charts, the nodes are in like Gemini and Sagittarius. So we have all this twin flame energy going on right now, but nobody knows where it's from. And then we also have the situation where like, we're really focused on the self right now because the sun rises every day on the horizon of Leo, since we're in Leo in the tropical charts. And just so you know, I like the tropical charts for talking about physical events, events that are happening and taking place in the physical. I like the Vedic system because it's more accurate, but it's better at predicting karmic experiences and phases of life. I can literally tell you what's gonna go on, when it's gonna go on, and how it's gonna affect you and what part of your life. And literally, I'll give you some keywords about the triggering events that actually bring it to the forefront of your consciousness. But you see, I cannot teach that technology with the tropical chart. So whatever astrology y'all been learning, I'm just gonna let you know, Mama has a different way. It might be funny to somebody, but it's quite accurate. And let me just tell you this so you know, got 23 years in this. So we're having this energy right now where every morning, our intention, our consciousness, and our sight is fixed upon the self-identity. And then we have this lunar event in Aquarius, which is the collective. It's literally the anti-I. And when Aquarius takes any sense of identity, literally they have to be in the group to have that identity mirrored back, and then they go off and process and they bring their findings back to the group to solidify. It's like that exalted version of how, as a teacher, what are the 3 levels of mastery? Maybe there's 4. I never learned the 4th if there was. But first you learn, and then you repeat, and then you teach. And teaching is like the 3rd mastery of learning. So that's Aquarius. They have this experience in the group, which is really mirroring back themselves because they have that forward-facing mind. They're in the future looking back. If you think about Aquarius, it's the 11th house. So 11th house is literally the house of benefactors. It's literally, if I start to teach you angel dynamics and dimensional transference and all these other metaphysical things, which I'm all about. The 11th house is also where angels come in and out. I know we think of the 9th house in terms of spirituality, etc., but the 9th house is where you can begin to see above the horizon. You can see beyond the horizon, because the 8th house is when you're in the darkness. Literally, it's the dark journey of the soul. You have to explore the depths in order to find your light. Well, when you find that light while exploring the depths, that's the 9th house. The 10th house is where it's a collective knowing. The 9th house is your own individual knowing. The 10th house is where you're accountable to others, also where you're judged by others because it's your approach to life. 9th house is your approach to philosophy. 11th house is your approach to the collective. It's the bigger community, smaller community, personal community being the 3rd house, okay? Your community being the 7th house, meaning your individual person, the one who's reflecting back your ideals to you. The 11th house is everybody reflecting back the merging of ideals. But 11th house is also benefactors. It's the karma you receive in this lifetime versus the 5th house, which is the karma you came into this life with. So the 6th house, which is built upon the 5th house, is your karmas, literally how you work through. So when you purify and cleanse those karmas, you receive them in the 11th house, which is dharma. Also, another thing that's coming through in the channel is the 11th house has something to do with investments. And I know specifically what it is, but I never speak it. I rarely speak it. I'm trying not to use the word never that often. I rarely speak it because yields show up differently for different people, and certain people see things as valuable that other people don't. Like a Capricorn is going to be very much physical resources. The devil card specifically, when it's in its positive aspect, is talking about gems and gold and storehouses of things, like even grain silos, or like real estate development, like digging under the ground, breaking ground, controlling something for the first time, or controlling something in a way that's going to be like a legacy. Okay, so yields is very different to different people. And when you're very watery in your chart or have a fire rising sign, you're dharmic. And if you're not dharmic, you're still dharmic because it's moksha, which means you're releasing, meaning you're releasing your attachments to the physical plane. And think about that this way. What are the conditions of this life? Suffering. Because suffering makes you call out towards the heavens. And what happens when you call out towards the heavens? You begin your process of liberation, which is moksha. Self-actualization is a little bit different, but the end of self-actualization is to actually self-dissolution, to allow all these attachments to dissolve, meaning you're going to work really hard for something, and then you're going to lose it. And that's actually part of the plan. So now let me just repeat that Aquarius example again. Aquarius is with the group, and Aquarius understands themselves in the group. That's the best way for them to understand. So they get all these findings by being with the group because their brain's a little bit further out. They're a little bit more broader minded because they have that heaven's gate, heaven's door, 11th house, right? And then they have all these findings, but they can't quite process them. They can parrot back, reflect back, but in order to come to a full, solid foundation, they can only understand their feelings in a group because that's when they come up, but they need to go away and process their feelings and then come back with the judgment. So first they're in the group, they have those findings, and then they go away to deliberation, and then they come back with imposing a judgment. And a judgment doesn't need to be judgment. It doesn't need to be biblical, epic. It doesn't need to be bad. A judgment could be a moral judgment, like this works for me, that doesn't work for me. This aligns with me, that doesn't align with me. This feels good to me, this doesn't feel good to me, versus that's wrong, that's bad. Booga, 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 booga. Vilifying, making wrong, making bad, making, scary. Okay, so when I use the word judgment, let's just say imposing guidance, because they are future paced. Now let me reframe it yet again. Saturn. Baba Sakpata, Saturn. I love me some Saturn. Let me just tell you, people don't like Sakpata. Sakpata, ooh. But you know what? I feel so comfortable with Saturn energy. Ooh. Most witches do. Witchcraft, if you're a lineage, traditional witch, not a spirit witch, you are Saturn. Because the basic witch, the Beckys of the magical world, they have to go work with some entity spirit to get that magic. So it's the difference between like the magician card, number 1, and the high priestess card, number 2. So the magician card uses the mind, like a wizard is a bastard and a bitch is a witch, excuse my language. It just means, where are you in your sense of power? Where are you coming from? So if you're doing all these higher minded things and it's not with love, it puts you strictly in the masculine energy, and it puts you in the magician energy and not the high priestess. See, the high priestess can take a frequency energy and they can make it a vibration, which means they can surround it in their aura. They can make it be a womb that other spiritual energies can germinate, manifest in, right? And also, when you have the high priestess energy, it's, maybe she's born with it. Versus the magician, that could be a really good craft skill. It could have been learned, it could have been parroted, it could have been monkey see, monkey do, could have been copied. Okay. Now, for whatever reason that was relevant, because we do have like a 5 basic, and that's I don't want to say this in a negative term. I oftentimes introduce concepts and ideas to be built upon. Okay, so the concept and idea is that a basic witch is going to be a level 1, really the number is 5. A basic witch is number 5, magician, and then we have the traditional witch, the lineage witch, which is going to be a level 8. Saturn goes along with the number 7 and 8 very, very strongly. Okay, and so that's like a number 2, which is the high priestess. Okay, and then we have a queen. Okay, so all queens are priestesses, not all priestesses are queens. All queens are witches, not all witches are queens. But that would be the empress, somebody that's cultivated, given culture. So what is culture? It's the ability to cultivate based off the land, based off the environment, based off the community. Okay, so again, going back to that Aquarius concept and idea, if the sun is rising in Leo every day, and then we have the opposite, the lunar event, full moon in Aquarius, what's getting reflected back is the collective is reflecting back the individual self. Excuse me, throwing a diva tantrum here. Pardon me, please. Okay, Mama can't handle this smoke. It's too much. It's just in my face. So it's important that we have a strong sense of self, because that is something that I've noticed Aquarians don't do. They don't like to compete. And if you make them jealous, they're going to leave. They're going to withdraw their energy. I've noticed that. It's better just to leave. And if I have to fight for something, I don't want it anymore. And I always see Leos are, and I understand that you may be a Leo and your energy may work differently. Okay. Leo was ruled by the sun, literally the definition of ego. Now, in addition, the sun is exalted 9 placements from itself. So the sun, which is native to Leo, is exalted in Aries, 9 houses away from itself. So literally needs to look over the horizon and impose its will upon the community, upon the collective. That's Leo. Leo is to get their way. Leo is the sense of self, not always I, Aries, but the self, Leo. Okay, and then the collective, Aquarius. So when I start talking about Leo, this is particularly for solar Leos. You may have extra stuff in Leo that modifies the energy, and then you may be the exception, okay? But I'm gonna tell you the rule, okay? And thumbs down if you need to, complain if you need to. But what I'm saying is, if you take it personal, there's more truth to it than you might want to. Because how you take a statement from me is how I meant it. So if I say something to you and you feel blessed, I meant it as a blessing. And if I say something to you and you decide to feel offended, then I meant it as an offense. It's up to you, boo. So Leo, when I'm saying these statements, it means before they spiritualize themselves, which is typically going to be anywhere between 27 and 36 for a Leo. Some of them happen at 24, but you usually see Jupiter, okay? Now, a Leo is going to want to impose their view of life onto the community because they're coming from a place of love. So they're thinking, oh, I feel good. This brings joy. I want other people to feel this joy. But you see, there's conditions on this. And see, Leos love unconditionally, but see, they put conditions on their love because they're looking for something to be reflected back to them in terms of a confirmation. So you need to agree with them, you need to like them, you need to understand them, all these little things that give them value. But see, the thing for Leos to realize is that you've got to learn to pet yourself, kitty. So petting means feeling good, juicing yourself up. Join us in creating excitement, juice. Leo needs to learn to juice themselves up because how an Aquarius gets juiced is when they leave. When they leave and they remove every attachment, then they know what's relevant, what's not, what's valuable, what's not, what's important, what's not. See, a Leo is going to get immersed in everything, real or otherwise, fictitious or otherwise, their own or somebody else's or otherwise, and they're just going to go with the experience because Leo is the 5th house. It's play, gambling, competition, also bachelor energy, whether it's a bachelor in college, I'm hearing baccalaureate for whatever reason, but whether it's a bachelor's degree from college, whether it's being out of some type of karmic union, meaning before they have a job, before they have a career, serious job, before they go on to master something. So it's basically enough to get into trouble, but maybe not always enough to clean up the trouble. Maybe they lack the judgment, maybe they lack the decision-making criteria to be able to recognize a problem and look at the causal reality. So everything is mirrored through their self. And you see, we do need the sun to shine bright. And that's the thing about Leo. Even if we can say a lot of bad things about them, like any other sign, the thing to understand about Leo is the sun rises every morning. Don't matter, don't care who is there to watch. Don't matter, don't care who's there to join. Don't matter, don't care who's there to orbit around them. The sun gonna rise no matter what. The sun gonna be a source no matter what. Ain't asking no permission, ain't waiting for nobody, not nobody to be themselves. Ain't waiting for nobody, not nobody to love themselves. Ain't waiting for nobody, not nobody to watch them, to view them, to worship them, to praise them. They're gonna salute every morning. The dawn is gonna come, the sun is gonna rise. It's gonna happen like clockwork. Ain't nobody, not nobody gonna stop that. So in some senses, that Leo energy is really great because first of all, they rarely bow to anybody. I love that about a Leo. I will not submit. I will not stand down. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Love it, love it, love it, love it. So there's great energy for Leo, but you see, there's a lot of darkness, like every sign. Let's talk about Leo. Ooh, child, let me tell you. So like I was saying, learn to pet yourself, big kitty. You could be the ripest, juiciest peach in the world and still a mofo, mother effer, is not gonna like peaches. What happens if they're allergic to peaches? Are you gonna sit there and cry? Oh my God, it's fine. This friend doesn't like me and I'm an award-winning peach. Girlfriend, you had peaches already. You won awards for your peaches already. Somebody's already came and worshiped you on the fact that you're the ripest, juiciest peach in the state, in the county, in the country. Who knows, who cares? You care. It's relevant to you. So that's the thing about Leo. It's like they can't make it, okay, and I'm saying this for an uninvolved Leo. They can't make it past that point where it's like, oh, you know, this person doesn't like me. Okay, this person doesn't like you. What does that mean to you? Go away, do your work, come back, and have that instilled in yourself, because you need to be self-possessed, meaning you pull from your own resources. And yes, honey, I understand what it is to be worshipped. I was saying that my chart is all Sag before. It's not. My chart is all fire, all water, one air, one earth. So I have all three fire signs in my chart. My Mars is in Leo, but it's like on the cusp of Cancer, and it's on the cusp of the 8th and 9th house. So I understand what it is to be worshipped. I really do. But you see, you have to worship yourself. But you see, you have to love yourself. So what Aquarius is doing with this lunar event is it's mirroring and purging some of these maladaptive, idiosyncratic, perfunctory, right? Extemporaneous things. So like those Leos do that quick cursory confirmation. That person didn't say hi to me. We had an issue. He didn't act like he loves me. We got an issue. He did not call me back fast enough. We got an issue. Okay, but these are your metrics. These are your standards. These are your things that matter to you and yourself. That's the message to the Leo. These are relevant to you and yourself. And the Aquarian would be like, okay, let's agree on the definition. Okay, it seems like I've stumbled over your boundaries. I don't really need to itemize them all, but tell me what needs you had that didn't get met. And see, a Leo's gonna be all in their feelings. Oh, I feel some kind of way because you offended me, and we got an issue, and right? And Aquarius is gonna be like, okay, well, I can see that you're upset. You hurt my feelings. I can see that your feelings are hurt. You offended me. I can see that you're choosing to be offended. See, so this is what's going on with this cycle that we're in. And it's uber, because also remember the North Node, South Node, they're in an air earth sign. Excuse me, whoops, pardon me, retract that. The North Node, South Node, and the tropical chart is in the fire air. And then right now, the solar lunar events, fire air. So we're getting it, okay? It's like, ooh, magnification. So if we're on a path towards understanding the divine self versus the physical self, and understanding how to look at the horizon and materialize our spiritual sight, because when you open your eyes, you look, and when you close your eyes, you see. That's Sagittarius. And when you embody the self here in the physical, and you're operating at the right frequency, energy, vibration as a Gemini, you're going to attract your spiritual counterpart. Or if you are living in the spiritual, you're going to attract your material counterpart. So that's the path that we're on. And then the intention, meaning wherever the sun rises, and the moon will mirror that in terms of manifesting that intention. So we got Gemini, Sagittarius in terms of life, path, spirit, karma, destiny. And then we have Leo, Aquarius in terms of materializing the intention. So let me just tell you how that works. You know, what's being told to me is a lot of energy is gonna come. Things that have been waiting for some time, for some good years, for some good months at least, is popping to the surface. And we need to have aha, awakening, awareness moments of our foundation in this world, what peace really looks like. And it's not always in union. We need to understand that we do make agreements to people that we put our love into. Like a Leo is loyal. They're gonna invest their heart, their soul, their energy, their vibration. They're gonna invest everything into the people that they love. But you see, there's this conditional love. It's not unconditional always. And let me explain this deeply, because a Leo does love unconditionally, like any fire sign. it's really easy for them to lose a sense of self because they go around trying to lift up everybody. And see, the thing about Leo is to not be selfish, but selfless. Love selflessly, shine selflessly. Okay? Because for the Leo, it's the true, genuine definition of I'm hearing that song, Shine Bright Like a Diamond. What is that, Rihanna? I'm really big into the retrograde, so whenever I hear Rihanna, I just think reevaluate, redraft, reconvene, replan, restructure, reorganize. So re, and then I think of Riri as in Rihanna. Shine bright like a diamond. So for Leo, it is that example of be an example worth following, be a story worth telling. With a Leo, you're never gonna be in the background. And even if you are in the background, there's still somebody watching you. Just like a Virgo, there's still somebody secretly loving you. Like a Leo, there's somebody secretly watching you. So that's the lesson here, because you need to have a firm sense of self, and then you need to let that self fade to the background, because that's for you and yourself. And then when you show up to the collective, when you show up to the community, you engage in the community with the mutually beneficial, nourishing needs exchange. And you see, the Leo will want to compete. The Leo will want to make a point. The Leo will want to show off. The Leo will want to be seen, because that's how they affirm their self-value. And so that's the difficult part. And that's the karmic lesson, because you're going to need to understand what you're giving, and you're going to need to get to a place where you can give it without receiving something in return. Because the good thing about a Leo, especially a Leo rising, is that Aries is your 9th house. So Aries is always the divine protected child. And if your 9th house is where you're the divine protected place, that means God loves you, baby. Same with Sag rising, but ooh, God loves you, baby. If you got Aries on your 9th house, don't worry. Shine bright like a diamond. Let some fool come through and disrespect you. You ain't got to do nothing about it. Let me tell you. Ooh, child, you ain't got... Wherever Aries is in your chart, unless you have Saturn there, it's your divine protection. And even if there's nothing in that house, it's going to give you some... As long as you're willing to push forward, it's going to give you some type of protection. So for Leo rising, Aries is on the 9th house. And Aquarius is on the 7th house. So yes, you got to have a firm sense of self, but guess what? You have to give consistently to others. There's a karma in Capricorn and Aquarius, but there's also karma in Scorpio. And the karma for Aquarius is that you need to pour out in order to receive. So with a Leo in their partnerships, a Leo in their relationships, what's happening is that they're having to give in order to receive, but the trick is to not need the affirmation. Give because of how it makes you feel, not because of what you receive for giving. Love because of how it makes you feel, not because the other person that you're loving on gives you something in return. That's what unconditional love is. I can love you because I love you, and loving you makes me feel like a bigger, brighter, and better person. And if all of a sudden this relationship becomes toxic, I can love you from afar, meaning another zip code. Okay, homie? That's when Leo starts to spiritualize. And like I said, happens somewhere between 27 and 36. Now, if you got a little bit of extra with your Jupiter, if you have some exalted in your chart, and great, then you might get it earlier. But see, Leo, it needs to struggle. Leo needs to have a chronic problem with disrespect for a while, because then they learn true sovereignty. They learn true regalness. See, a queen knows they can collect your mother effing head. So they ain't got to come for you, because you and your karma will come for you yourself. You will always come to collect yourself. Your spirit, your higher self will always come to collect you. And maybe it'll be through instructive punishment, which is unpleasant. I understand, but it is very effective. So let me just recap here. This Leo energy, let's look at Leo. Mm-hmm. Like I done told you. Yep. Mm-hmm. So a lot of thoughts are going to be coming up. Oh, and I didn't talk about the tea. See, I was going to go over housekeeping, and then the messages came right through. I'm so sorry. It's too late to go over housekeeping because we've been in it for a minute and messy for a minute. Okay, but I will tell you the tea for today, chai tea. Normally I do tedede, which is like a sweet mate, iced mate. The strongest caffeinated tea is mate. Today it's chai tea. So this is, I don't do vanilla chai. And the chai today happens to be decaffeinated, but it's chai with CBD oil and coconut milk. I don't do almond or soy. I do cashew, oat, or coconut. I prefer coconut. So today it's coconut and chai and CBD oil. And yesterday, if you watched the sermon yesterday, it was today. So I had roses and lavender and pineapple and cranberry with stevia and mate, and it was iced with lemon. And I also add like a little bit of turmeric to my teas, especially if it's mate, because I'm detoxing right now and I just don't like inflammation because I have chronic pain. That's another thing with Saturn. We'll talk to you about it later. Okay. Why don't we have a sip of tea? Excellent. Okay, so yeah, the findings are exactly as I thought. So let's just do a spot check really quick. And people like to see the reading, so why don't we do that for a moment? It's a 36 card spread, so let's not worry about it because you got to come to the Mystery School and spend some good weeks learning that one, honey. Okay. Like if we ever do like an actual judgment, this is the spread. Where I get to preside over my findings and all that. So like I was saying, all this energy is coming out about the self and about strength, courage, and wisdom, overcoming the karma of the self, because we have to offer ourselves unconditionally, but we need to also love ourselves unconditionally because the condition for a Leo was that they receive something back, usually worship, okay, affirmation, affection. And it's true, especially for the goddess, meaning women, you need affection, you need attention, you need affirmation. And you see, Aquariuses can be Aquarii, you know, Aquemini, because we got Gemini with the North and South node, and we have Aquarius with the full moon, and it's the partner energy to the solar energy with all month. It's Leo, so of course we got Aquarius right there. Saturn wants to talk, that's why I'm getting tongue-tied. Saturn will shut me up. The issue is that you do need to know what your worth is. And you can never have strength, courage, and wisdom, which is the Leo card, strength, courage, and wisdom, without having self-worth and value. It doesn't work. There's nothing to build strength, courage, and wisdom up on top of without self-worth and value. Meaning, until you know your worth, you can't know what you're protecting. And you see, this is why Leos get slapped around, okay, abused, because they're loyal and they're loving and they're gullible and they go barreling into a situation, heart open, arms open, ready to love on you. And all they need is a little attention. You know, I just need your affection. I just want your attention. We don't gotta be in love. I just need somebody right now. I just want your affection. I just need your attention. We don't gotta be in love. I just need somebody right now. I don't know who sings that song, but it's coming through. I love the melodies of that song. It sends me to another planet. It's just beautiful. The realms take me. So research those lyrics, find out who it is. If somebody wants to put it in the show notes, better do it before the video ends because there's no comments after the live stream is over. Okay. So that was coming through for somebody out there, and that is very much Leo. Anybody will do for the interim. But you see where that drama, where that madness comes out is when somebody that they've taken a liking to doesn't act like they worship them. And it's not really the individual Leo, it's that understanding, seeing past the self. So the self has the why of the why of the why of the why, because the self is closely related to the ego. Think about it. So with the ego, it's a mechanism of survival, and it's really not better for anything much more than that. It's great to have a sense of self, but you see, ruling from the self is a quick way to meet the devil, because we can get rid of humility really quickly. And you see, humility is what keeps the devil away, truly, right? If there's not something cultivated from the inside, the devil's going to make it inside and push whatever divine, whatever divinity, whatever sovereignty out. And see, we don't like that. That's not good. And you see, that's also the part, because the devil always wants to get his hands on sun, solar energy, always wants to get his hands on Jupiter energy, because that's the gatekeeper into the next realm. The Jupiter energy teaches on how to qualify with the mastery of the sun, and the sun is the gate into the next realm always. And you'll see the next realm, all the way up to the seventh dimension. You'll see that when you get in, it's the sun, and when you get let through, it's Jupiter. Jupiter is the threshold, the sun is the next realm open. You'll understand, because the sun is also a star, and stars are portals. Can't say much more because this ain't the mystery school, but that's it. So the devil always wants to get his hands on that. So when you give away your crown, when you give away your power, when you give away your crown, Jupiter, when you give away your power in the sun, woo! The devil is happy, little fiesta. And no, because what is the devil? It's when you're spiraling downwards, when you're inverted, when your sensor, your source is coming from a maladaptive place and not an adaptive place. Or because the devil isn't always bad, but the devil is the red gate. It's not the human gate. That's the things that go bump in the night gate. And yeah, sometimes we need the red gate. Sometimes you need protection. I don't know why this, Spanish is coming through, but sometimes you need, I keep hearing the word securitas, which is like a security company as well. And I don't even think that's Spanish. I think it's literally like some type of Germanic language, but that's coming through. I think Securitas is from Switzerland. I don't know. Back from my investor days, I would know. I'm hearing the word Securitas. And you see, we have those two red dots and then the yellow line underneath it, the logo for Securitas company. So yeah, that's it. The human gate is the yellow gate, and the divine gate is the blue gate. And see, the devil gate, the demon gate is the red gate, and that's better used for protection. It's better used for quick, explosive energy. Think of red as like explosive, hot, volatile, caustic. I'm sure that has a purpose, but does it have a purpose all day, every day? Probably not, right? So that's really what I'm getting at. And I gotta be honest, look at this card. This is Leo. Lyova, I'm hearing Lyova, so Russian now. We went from German, Spanish to Russian. What you doing, goddess? Okay, so you see all that red and gold, and then a little bit of green, and then if you really look deeply into the card, it's rays of blue. So what is she doing? She's summoning up. That was my drama. Let's do it again. Summoning up all of that strength, courage, and wisdom, that primal force, strength of will, determination, courage, strength, courage, and wisdom. And then she's giving it like a true tantrika to the higher realm. She's literally mastering your primal nature and giving it over to the divine. So Leo is the king of the earth. And even when you see the Ade, Achosi, that blue light, that white lion, those blue eyes and the white lion, the blue light is the light between heaven and earth. Okay, so there's flecks of blue in that green, and just come to the mystery school and you'll learn more. So that's another thing for Leo. It's like you have in that card strength, courage, and wisdom, self-worth and value, because the Empress is that green. The Empress is self-worth and value, and then that blue, which is the same as indigo violet, is that faith, hope, and optimism. And those are the three Shakti energies. Self-worth and value, that's where you start with that Empress. You're feeling yourself, loving yourself, good and content in yourself. And then you can share that with other people with that strength, courage, and wisdom, shucking and jiving on and vibing, and you get with the homies and you rolling down the street, sipping on the gin and juice because mama loves her grapefruit and gin. But then people might not like you. People might have issues with you. People might want to confront you, might want to tear you down. And see, Leo needs to remember, hey, homie, sweetie, darling child, if somebody trying to tear you down, it means they already beneath you. You got to not even care. You got to, right? And then once you're secure in yourself and you know your sense of self so strongly that you're willing to defend it with that strength, courage, and wisdom, then we have a platform, a table, maybe even the top of your bosoms, for your faith, hope, and optimism to really take seat. And that's when you are spirit-filled. And see, faith, hope, and optimism is the Aquarius card. Strength, courage, and wisdom is the Leo card. Okay, so I think we beat that horse. Is the channel over? Because I'm tired of talking about Leo. I got Leo in my chart though. It's hot, y'all. Okay, so yeah, let's go through this. So yes, the gatekeeper for this whole lesson is self-worth and value. If you don't have self-worth and value, you're gonna be on the shadow end of this cycle. Meaning you're gonna be a late bloomer, a late adopter. It's like a person who got an iPhone 5 years after it came out. iPhone came out in 2007, by the way. So some people, my mama, my adopted mom, she got her iPhone like 2 years ago. And she finally started texting and all that stuff. She actually responded to an email. Normally I send an email to my stepdad. So yeah, I mean, that's a late adopter, you know, somebody that found their strength, courage, and wisdom much later. And if you find your strength, courage, and wisdom much later, it's because you were in the remedial class for self-worth and value. I'm just gonna say it, honey. I'm so sorry. I've been through it too. Myself personally, me, Ablosi. You know, I was a child prodigy. I graduated high school early. I was like precocious and like uber intellect, but I didn't have like social intelligence or like emotional intelligence until like 27 is when I just started to get it. And I was always like worshipped and revered for like my gifts. You're so gifted, you're so gifted, you're so talented. And like, I thought that was my worth. I thought my intellect made me golden. And then I met this 14-year-old Indian boy. He was gonna go intern as a surgical intern. Like he had his doctorate in surgical medicine at 14. You know, I had to check myself, right? So it's that sense of like, you have to have something golden on the inside because your outside is gonna fade. I'm a former athlete. I'm a former gymnast, cheerleader, and then chronic pain came to me. And like I was cobbled and hobbling around. The spirit had to humble me. And so that's the situation. It's like Leo has these inner resources, but everybody is confirming them, affirming them to them. So Leo has to go inside and find out what's worthwhile, what's valuable. And it's the Aquarius that mirrors that back because Aquarius looks at universal principles, not individual principles. Aquarius looks at collective terms, not individual terms. Like I was saying, you're entitled to your opinion, but facts is by consensus. And so that's what's being mirrored here. Self-worth and value is the gatekeeper to the transformation, to the ascension, to the initiation, and to the next level, the next higher octave of the cycle. And if you were struggling with your strength, courage, and wisdom, it means you were in the remedial class for your self-worth and value, because self-worth and value was some good 2 years ago, a minimum of 18 months. I'm hearing the word that I just heard was completed eclipse. So eclipse is the actual cycle of moons that happens over 18 months. And I don't need to get into any more technical stuff there. Come to the mystery school. So yeah, it would have been a minimum of 18 months ago, if not 24, 27 months ago. That's when we all should have been working on our self-worth and value. And right now it's strength, courage, and wisdom. We need the strength to love ourselves and be enough in and of ourselves, because some mother efforts gonna come through with something to say, and we can't give no Fs. No, excuse me, sorry children. No fucks, not no fucks. Hey, it's not a single fuck, a barren field of fucks. We can't give no fucks. I'm sorry children if you're present, this is a family channel, but that had to come through. okay? Literally. When you have no fucks to give, that's when your strength, courage, and wisdom is intact, because you know you will walk. You know you will walk. You know you don't need nobody, not no thing, not no place, not nobody. Don't let nobody, not nobody disrespect you. And you know when you're being disrespected, and you're the mature Leo when you all of a sudden don't have to prove something, make a point. And I'm a diva. I'm a diva. Trust me on this. I am a diva. So I could go off at any time, and I love being volatile. But see, that ain't good for nobody. I ain't on no stage. Ain't nobody paying me for that. Ain't nobody gonna do anything but clear the room. And sometimes that's necessary, right? But you see, it's when you can go off on a, and you choose not to, that you really have that maturity. And you see, mature self-worth and value is immature strength, courage, and wisdom. Mature strength, courage, and wisdom is immature faith, hope, and optimism. So faith, hope, and optimism, Aquarius, is faith in creation. You have faith in knowing that the unknown is beautiful because you have yourself. And alive in yourself is you and yourself. So whatever, everybody, other people, don't matter, don't care. And see, that's when you really have true love, because you love humanity and not the individual human, okay? And so there, the message is you have to have Three of Pentacles, Denari? This. Three of Pentacles is, see, English has left me. Three of Pentacles is when you have teamwork, and it's not always humans. It's synergy that comes, that synergy that has a physical manifestation. That is the Three of Pentacles. And you see also, until you have faith, hope, and optimism, you're not out of the woods. You're not done. You're not done. Because that's the little choke point here. That's the gatekeeping for this whole cycle. It's saying, until, excuse me, until we have faith, hope, and optimism, our strength, courage, and wisdom is not going to be intact, because we won't know we have it. And see, when you own it is when you truly have it. Like I said, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. So you've got to have a list of principles. And see, what happens when you have a list of principles? You've been messed over before. You've been disrespected. You've been in a disproportionate power dynamic and maladaptive needs exchange. Well, see, how do you have these standards? Well, because you have self-worth and value. And see, until you were abused and traumatized, until a wound got left, you were never able to see the light shining through. So how did you ever learn the value? Your mama can pump you up all you want, all she wants. Hey, you're beautiful, you smart, you is intelligent, you is precious, or whatever that line is, because I don't care, really. I don't like culture, especially pop culture. It doesn't matter who tells you what. It doesn't matter how beautiful somebody's telling you you are. It doesn't matter if the love of your life is chasing you down. If you don't think you're worthy, it doesn't matter if love comes and slaps you in the face. If you don't think you're worthy, it doesn't matter if somebody comes and hands you $1 million check. That's why I always say money don't fix money problems. There's something behind the money that you're getting, and unless you're driving towards those goals, so it doesn't matter your self-worth and value if you're not going to defend it. That's the strength, courage, and wisdom. It doesn't matter your faith, hope, and optimism if you're not going to stand your ground and go with spirit, go with God, instead of going with this human, this charlatan, this devil in human's clothing, which is typically the Luciferian Satanist agenda, what the Kardashians told you, right? You got to pump your lips up. You got to put fillers in your booty just to be worthwhile. And it's fine to do it, but you're doing it for you. not for somebody and what they think and what they're gonna tell you and all those little lies that they're wanting you to buy. And the thing about it is like the self-worth and value comes when you wake up one day and you realize, oh, I've been buying this lie. Oops. And then the strength, courage, and wisdom is when you decide to stop buying the lie, because you're still going to be sold the lie every day. And the faith, hope, and optimism is when you can walk through the world with faith in creation, knowing that this charlatan, this little wizard, this little witch, they're all going to sell you this little snake oil. And you've got to walk through being true to you, knowing that you got to pick and choose what to buy, because you're going to be sold a lie, but you don't have to keep buying it. Okay. So now do you see the self contrasted back by the collective? How do you know what your worth and value is? Doesn't somebody have to come abuse you? Isn't everybody talking about like narcissists right now? What does that mean? This toxic, malignant thing that feeds. What is the down-tier class of demons? It's the parasitic class of demons, the ones who feed on others to survive, okay? So it's like demeaning, people who like to demean others. Well, if you find meaning in your life by demeaning others, it means you're parasitic, which is not far away from malignant and toxic. What is toxicity? Toxicity is when there's been a maladaptive abuse that is now accepted as a malady, meaning some type of medicine, which is actually a toxin, meaning your system becomes overtaken by something that was once pleasurable, okay? I love to eat popcorn, but once I have my 5th bag of popcorn, that's toxic. I love donuts, but I was so chronically addicted to donuts, I had to eat 2 dozen donuts in one sitting and get sick in order to break my addiction to donuts. I love toxic men, but I needed to have a knife held to my throat in order to learn my lesson. Now I'm widowed and divorced. So this is where you find your strength, courage, and wisdom. It's by leaning into your self-worth and value. This is when you get your faith, hope, and optimism. It's when you've been strong enough in yourself and you've stood up to bullies. You've been that bright light in a dark place. You've been that Leo that's been attacked by everybody because they won't let people leech off of them. Because they know they're going to come barreling down the road into a burning building because somebody that they love needs help. But that person that they love is chronically addicted to danger. And when they've done that math and they're standing in their own truth, that's not when they have faith, hope, and optimism. Okay, so let's pull an archetype card. Got it. Virgin. See, purity. Leos have that gullibility because they are very pure inside, at least in the beginning of whatever eventually becomes the drama. In the beginning, it's always something pure. And very rarely, I mean, I look at it this way. There's a list of FBI serial killers and they tell you which ones have which signs. And it's always, always, always the mutable signs. And the only fixed sign that comes up with the serial killer is the Aquarius, because they can detach. You never, never, never see a concentration of Leo serial killers. And I don't like the word never, and I'm saying it. So the beginning of any drama with a Leo is really pure. It just doesn't end pure, okay? And now we have here manifesting or maintaining symbolic purity of heart versus fear of intimate union. So that is true. A Leo can get, and everybody has Leo. Everybody has every sign in the chart. Right now, the sun is rising in Leo. So it's your first house and probably your sun is in Leo if you have that. But even if you don't have any planet in Leo, look at where Leo is in your chart. Like I'm a Sag rising, so Leo is my 9th house. My sun is in the 8th house. So I'm gonna consistently lose my ego. I'll get high and mighty on something just to be knocked the F down 18 months later. It is a painful blessing and I love it, okay? I love that the universe comes to check me because some humans don't check me. I'm gonna be looking for witnesses because I'm about to go off, okay? So it's the same here. When we first find our strength, courage, and wisdom, it came because we had a moment of fear. Now, sometimes that moment of fear becomes a prolonged, elongated moment, meaning years and years of toxicity. Because our self-worth and value got stepped on, shit on, pissed on. And before we spoke up, we would have had to deal with our fear of what the consequences are for sticking up when we've been disrespected. And our self-worth and value wasn't honored, acknowledged, and appreciated. And see, here's the queen lesson. A queen never complains, never explains, she simply withdraws her energy. A princess will request, she will not ask. She will simply request for her needs to be met, and then she will politely withdraw her energy. A prince will command and not demand. He will say, this is the way it is done. I would insist that you act upon it. I will insist that you follow procedure. I will insist that you honor this agreement. A king will not chase, will not beg. He will say, I am committed to this outcome. And if you want to work with me on it, great. And if you don't, great. Please make up your mind. Let it be clear with your actions. What say you? Speak to this. Welcome to class, my children. Listen, this symbolic purity, it's not something, it's innate. So it's not going to be in the narcissist. It's not going to be, this is something that it literally comes with that divine pure energy. It's something that literally comes with Leo Aquarius energy. Because you see that it's blue, it's spiritual. So it ain't about whether you popping it, sharing it, you know, intimately in a union or whatever that looks like for you. It has nothing to do about your chastity. It has something to do about your purity. Okay? And let's just clarify this. Oh, they're telling me to shut my mouth. We ain't gonna clarify that. All right, Spirit, I will obey. Okay, but we will read this sermon then. Virgin, also celibate. Let's see celibate. Well, see, there's no celibate in here. Okay, so it's associated with purity applied to primarily young women. Needs to be explored symbolically as a pattern that represents not only purity, but also the beginning point of creation, as in bringing forth virgin ideas. Shadow virgin manifests as prudish, disgust, and fear of genuine sensuality or intimacy, not just regarding or resisting sex, but for other endeavors, not giving, being stingy, a reluctance to lose autonomy. So that's lack of intimacy. Intimacy is into me, you see, meaning openness, depth, and vulnerability. So that's the thing about Leos. They get really vulnerable really quick. And Leos are not stingy. And when they're being stingy, it's a fear of being hurt more. And so a Leo needs to stop and acknowledge, hey, where am I been harmed? Hey, you know, what's going on with this fear that I have? Hey, why am I putting conditions on my love? Why am I putting conditions on my exchange here? And its conditions are not the same as standards and boundaries. See, my children, one thing with this is virgins can reserve and preserve vital energy. And that's what Leo is, life force, generative energy. It's literally God, creation. The channel has stopped. I love that. Chatty braid can drive me crazy. Okay, so let's do this angel of the emanations, this oracle of emanations, angelarium. Perdón, permiso. Un momento, por favor. Okay, so, wow. It says it's ready, it's been ready, and it's waiting because it's been ready. All right. Ain't got to argue. Yeah, so this is usually scary. These cards can be scary. Great. Y'all might think I got an attitude problem, that I'm mean or a bully. I wake up dancing and singing and full of pain. So y'all need to adjust that opinion. I just have extremely high standards. Oh, there we go. Okay. So let's talk about this real quick. I'm going to have to come back and do the sermon anyways another time. But the Spirit wants me to speak to this because it seems to be unclear. And I've heard a lot of questions about this. And in my individual, personal, professional work, not just my ministry around town, because I do a lot of community work, but also my spiritual children, my students, and my clients. Listen, standards, boundaries, pickiness, expectation, reality. Standards are something that if it's not met, you're going to register a wound. Like you must be this tall to ride this ride. There's a safety thing there. Standards are what you need to feel whole in a situation. And if your standards are not met, you cannot stay there because there will be a loss. Now, a loss is not always a peril. I need to blow up my nose. A loss is not always a peril. A loss could be a personal wound, an offense. But you see, you choose to be offended, and it's fine to choose to be offended, but really being offended is a feeling, and a feeling informs your experience, and you might just need to say, I don't want to repeat this experience, and so you need to hold your boundaries or enforce your standards. So boundaries are what you need to feel safe. Standards are what you need to feel whole. So a boundary is a standard. A standard is not always a boundary. Okay? In addition, pickiness, expectations. You don't need either of those. Expectations are premeditated resentments. Close a book on that. Pickiness is really a lack of openness. If I just get right down to it, because we've been talking enough. So really, I don't want to hear much more than standards and boundaries, and I don't want to see you sharing your standards and boundaries with anybody that ain't signing up to be committed to. When your standards and boundaries aren't met, walk away. Now, you can hold your boundaries, you can enforce your standards, but it is a quick way to lose a lot of energy. So don't do it chronically and repeatedly. You hear me? Because I expect my children to conduct themselves with serenity, humility, and grace if you are a queen or a princess, and humility, dignity, and grace if you are a prince or a king. I won't hold space for you. Otherwise, I'm so sorry if that hurts your feelings, but I actually do not care, really. We are Vodoun. We are chosen children. It is our job to be the example worth following. It is our job to be the story worth telling. And it is so difficult for me to sit here and listen to these stories of these women tolerating this disrespect. You understand? Standards and boundaries will keep you sane, will keep you safe, will keep you whole. Because when you're tolerating disrespect, you are sacrificing and surrendering your self-worth and value, and your spirits won't stay next to you. When you do that, what'll happen is your ancestors will be left to protect you, and you're gonna get whoopings, both from your spirits and from your ancestors, and you're gonna get pissed on and shit on. For what? To learn who you are? Don't you already know? And if you're going out there looking for yourself and other people, is this man your God? So when I'm talking to you about standards and boundaries, I'm talking to you about self-love, self-worth, and value. So that's how it is, where it is, what it is, my dear. A man is not a plan. You can't be looking outside yourself for answers. The outside informs your experience, and your guiding system is your Lord, your God, your Vodoun. Mabu Sekolisa, baby. And you and your family, whether you're the river, the Mamis, the Mami Wata, the Mami Dan, the Mami Chamba, don't matter, don't care, girl. You got God. A man will never do anything but reflect the God alive in you back to you. And a man won't come with some God alive in him unless you are spirit-filled. So your standards and boundaries don't need to be communicated, they need to be enforced. And it should be clear. Because if you run in and chasing somebody down, trying to convince them who you are, trying to explain to them what's alive in you, something is wrong. That means the devil's too close to you. So that's my explanation on standards and boundaries and expectations and pickiness right now. So we'll leave it right there. So let's read this Angel Orium. The sermon today will be from Material, the Angel of Rain, which a lot of us know as Oya. In Vodoun, we have Adayo, Sopo, and we have the Chamba, the Aze Vodoun, okay, which is the cemetery spirits. And you don't mess with them. And then we also have the sermon from the left hand, which is Judgment, okay? And that's Jupiter. All the spirits go to judge, but Javioso, ooh, Mr. H, Shango, ooh. And I need to wipe my nose. I really do need to blow my nose. Excuse me. I'm just gonna take the mic out. Pardon me for a second. I hate to turn my back to you, pardon me. Okay. Oh, Mama can't be sick. So disgusting. Okay, my hands are clean. I am a diva. Okay, so I just love this card. I love all this blue. Because blue is about tranquility. It's about spiritual knowledge, spiritual fulfillment, spiritual contentment. Okay. And Mama loves her gin and grapefruit juice. I think I made an agreement with my spirit not to be eating, not to be drinking no more gin, because they get jealous, but ooh. So I think I've switched to rum, but I'm not a big drinker. It's just like a hole where all the money goes and all the time goes, and then you wake up not at your full power. I don't want to put toxins in my body, you know, like that. So I don't know if I'm a drinker anymore, but I do love rum and gin. I love rum and gin. Okay, so the Angel of Rain, let's find him, Material. Okay, so substitute this for Oya, Adayo. Okay. Material's touch is felt, seen, and heard. Its presence is heavy, filling the air, saturating the ground. Material is heralded by thunder clapping through the sky, signaling change and shifts. There's a great migration coming, and its arcs like lightning. The potentiality from one body is moving to another, a precarious transference, a swift communion like the arrow taking its target. Awareness is paramount for the journey. Do not try to create an outcome for your future. Be in the moment, let the rain fall where it may. Like I was telling you, if you run in chasing somebody, trying to explain yourself to somebody, listen here, listen here, listen here, listen here. Do not invest your time explaining yourself to people who are invested in misunderstanding you. It is unacceptable. We don't do that in my house. It is a quick way for the devil to come get you. It's giving away your personal power. Do not do it. Do not do it. So that's what Material was saying. And I was hearing a little bit of Sopo, the queen of the tsunami, in there, but I'd rather just say Adayo in the other world, we know it as Oya, but the Angel of Rain. Okay. And then we also have the left hand of Judgment. So why don't I read that one? Okay, Guerrero. Ooh. Ooh. Okay, y'all, this is my house, the one that I work from. Each Vodoun, each Orisha, they have a little place on the tree of life that they work out of. And we only talk publicly about the 10 powers. There's 7 powers and 3 supremes. But there's an 11th called Lisa. Okay? And let's just talk about this left hand here of judgment. Ooh. I'm hearing time waits for nobody. You can judge yourself on your intentions, but others are going to judge you on your behaviors. And you don't need nobody. And if you do need somebody, then you need nothing. Or you deserve nothing. Ooh, ooh, child, I can't. That's scary. Okay. Wow, that energy is intense. Yeah, I'm intense. Okay, the fifth emanation of God, the hand that separates the rule of law that brings order to the world, Gavura, assesses what is just. Oops, pardon me, perdón, permiso, excuse me. Okay, Gavura assesses what is just. Any glare? Okay. Let's get that glare out. Okay, let me just sit this right here. Okay, that's better. Gavura assesses that which is just. Okay, my fingers are trembling. Assesses what is just, helping us overcome our adversaries both without and within. Hers is the power to cleave apart a unified whole and leave its component pieces. It is a trait that commands as much fear as respect because with it comes an inherent violence. She does this with enmity. She does this without enmity. I thought that was weird. It is an act that must be committed to create balance. This position at the center of the pillar defines that pillar's trait of severity. Her push against Chesed is on the opposite side of the tree, which is mercy. And it gives the equilibrium of resistance. Without both of them in equal measure, we have no means of maintaining healthy relationships. We must have judgment to discern that which is healthy for us so that we can bring it into our lives and embrace it. Found in the law, bravery, and punishment. Yeah, that's why I say I will come collected. What that means is don't make me snatch you up. Don't act a fool, act right. Don't act a fool, act right. Oh, when I get like that, I hear my mama. Oh, I hear my mama. Oh, yes. Well, what they're saying in there is that you need both punishment and mercy. You need both severity and compassion. And without it, you have no basis, no foundation, no spectrum for healthy relationships. But they're also saying that they, to be a judge, to make judgments is harsh because when you cut off one thing, when you choose one thing, you're cutting off everything else. So that's the first judgment, the value judgment, not the moral judgment. Like, you're wrong, this is fucked up, you broke the law, excuse me. Trying to make this a family channel. Give me a week or two, I'll get with it. I'm committed to it. When something is messed up, you can make like a moral judgment. You can say, hey, what are morals? Morals is what's right and wrong. What are ethics? Ethics is what's acceptable or not. So I'd really rather make an ethical decision than a moral judgment, but mama will come through and make a moral judgment. But see, if you resist me when I'm making my moral judgments, I will no longer be Ablosima. I will be Baba Sakasa. So you've got to have the same. Take it from me. If I can do it, you can do it. I ain't no better, right? So if something about that sounds fancy to you, learn about your Vodoun. Learn about Lisa. Learn about the supreme Vodoun principality here upon the earth in the land of the chosen children and the promised, okay? Because it's alive in you. And if I'm speaking to something in the depths of your soul, it means it's time for your true authentic self, your true nature to emerge. And I want that for you, I really do. So it's been an honor and a pleasure to serve you. Thank you for allowing me the privilege to do so. My email address is mama@ablosi.org. And the guidance was imposed today from Carolyn Miss Archetypes, and it was Virgin. So instead of having an intimate fear of union, which is intimacy, into me you see, which is depth, openness, and vulnerability, meaning you need to be free to give from yourself. And the birth of that giving is maintaining symbolic purity of heart and spirit, because the selfishness and stinginess is the shadow emanation of Leo, but the shadow emanation of Aquarius is delusion, okay? And then we also impose some guidance from the Angelarium, Oracle of Emanations. And I like this card for the Soul Purpose Saturday sermon because it's very biblical. And I love you, I honor you, I praise you. Yeah, Mama's a diva and she's thirsty, bloodthirsty, because she does not like disrespect and she needs to be fed and worshipped. But I would never hurt or harm my children, definitely not intentionally. And I hear some of you, talking about me entering your dreams. That is tiring. So if I came to your dreams, it was not intentional because Mama likes her rest. So it means get with me, email me really quickly, because we're in the same spiritual space and they're telling me to bring you home because we're already living together in the spiritual realm. Because entering people's dreams, unless you have Capricorn in your chart, I'm not even going to try because I'm just going to lose all my energy and it's not a good night's sleep. What else? Yeah, if I'm evoking fear, you're welcome. I don't care. It's not my intention to bully you or to terrorize you. So if you're taking it as that, come to me talking and crying about your feelings. Just tell me what your needs are and be quiet, please. Do not volunteer information. I ain't seeking no testimonial. Please, please. Come at me with some bull, please. Please, do not make me need to wipe your behind, please. I'm here to save your soul, not to terrorize you, not to fuck you over or steal your power or whatever other shit you are saying to me. Act right, have some common sense and self-respect. Conduct yourself accordingly and I will do the same. Please, please, act like you know this. On another note, it's been an honor and a pleasure to serve you today. Thank you for allowing me the privilege and the pleasure to do so. If anything I said resonates deeply with you, please check the energy and the information in the show notes.